To watch all of my exclusive content not featured here on my channel, log on to my website at imjustheretomakeyoutthink.com/films. This film has been modified from its original version in hopes that you may be able to see it this time around. What if America is witnessing the largest crime conducted against humanity in a way they never thought of before? What if films were produced to inform the masses of these crimes by way of visual hidden messages? What if America derived from the likes of conceptualism and organized written deceptions? What if you were told that something can control what you see, other than your own brain? How would you answer these questions? Tracking it down to the configurations of the answers, it would depend on how an individual receives information socially. Like, for example, there may be a few of you who may feel as though your history teacher gave you the correct answer, or it may be a few of you who feels as though some community leader gave you the best answer, or there may be a small group who feel as though just because someone mentions it to them and it sounded about right, then it's a fact, meaning that you're just simply approving his or her message. But the funny thing about approving someone's message, it's merely based upon how much you value that individual's opinion. I mean, think about it. Since history was written by strangers with malicious motives and biased agendas in the first place, what makes a person buy into a stranger's opinion about their own people's story? This process is uncommonly known as a social engineering experiment, or SEE for short, which is a scientific study conducted on groups of large populations, manipulating direct and indirect thought of human behavior, subsequently found within the origins of social science. Social science is the study of people or collections of people, such as groups, firms, societies, or economies, and their individual or collective behaviors. To have a better understanding of this intel, there are 3 disciplinary classifications of social science. To break it down, psychology is one of those 3, which is the study of human behavior. And up next is sociology, which is the study of social groups. And then the remaining one is economics, which is the study of firms, markets, and economies. This means that social engineering experiments are conducted upon people unwantedly or with their acknowledgement, and these forms of experiments are based on the principles of submissive mind configuring or manipulation. And here's what I mean by that. Now, if you were to Google the history of the phrase social engineering, it is generally associated with hackers in the technology field, utilizing unfiltered techniques in order to hack into computer systems and high-end security walls, for example. But is that social engineering? Well, from a certain perspective, it is, simply because technology is very utilitarian for propagating all the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of society and human behaviors. Interesting enough, the Oxford English Language Dictionary defines social engineering as the use of centralized planning in an attempt to manage social change and regulate the future development and behavior of a society. And it goes on to state that social engineering is the use of deception in order to induce a person to divulge private information, or especially unwittingly to provide unauthorized access to a computer system or network. So these social engineering experiments are continuously occurring over time, and humans do play a major role on both sides of these test results, which can be confusing to some of you because you may associate the phrase social engineering with things like the famous hacker Kevin Mitnick, for example, who was said to have popularized the phrase during the 1990s. Or you may associate the phrase with things like the movie called Hackers, starring Angelina Jolie and Johnny Lee Miller. And the reason being is due to the visual image surrounding this phrase alone, which has been displayed as a malicious means to gain access to private, personal, or confidential information only. But unfortunately, that is not the case here. According to the website CSOonline.com, which is a website created for chief information security officers and other top-level executives charged with protecting their organization's tangible and intangible assets, including technology infrastructure, intellectual capital, and corporate reputation. In an article dated September 25, 2019, it states, quote, "Social engineering is the art of exploiting human psychology rather than technical hacking techniques to gain access to buildings, systems, or data," exposing that the main objective of these social engineering experiments is to alter the human psyche to influentially manipulate a human's behavior. According to the Oxford English Language Dictionary, the phrase social engineering was initially recorded in a New York Times article published on October 15, 1899, titled "New Profession Appears. Promoters of Social Engineering Find a Fruitful Field." This article, published in 1899, details that social engineering is the latest of the professions as applied by the officers and the members of the League for Social Service, which was organized in August of 1898 by Dr. Josiah Strong and W.H. Tolman. Tolman is quoted in this article saying, "Dr. Strong and myself started the League in August last year. Our object was the social and industrial betterment of the people. There is much that can be embraced under that heading. We are really social engineers, and that is the youngest of the professions. Now, as to our work, we go from place to place and see what employers are doing for the betterment of their help. The members of the League are our clients, and we improve their property on social lines. The League is practically a clearinghouse for other institutions." Further into this article, Tolman goes on and states, quote, "We intend to take up another matter, and that is to act as an emergency corps in the case of a great disaster or any calamity in which immediate relief is necessary. We have the machinery, and thus it is a matter of economy to employ us. We have engaged to write for us a series of leaflets. Governor Theodore Roosevelt, who becomes President of the United States, Dr. Albert Shaw, editor, journalist, scholar, Robert C. Ogden, businessman and financial supporter of Booker T. Washington, and Dr. W.P. Wilson, textbook author of Christian psychotherapy, and many others of note." End quote. Now, years later, the League for Social Service changed its name to the American Institute of Social Service, and in an article written for the New York Times, dated May 30th, 1906, entitled, "What is the American Institute of Social Service? Practical Work and Scope of the Organization Conducted by Dr. Josiah Strong and Dr. W.H. Tolman," explained. The Institute is described as a storehouse of experience, a sociological laboratory, and a sociological clinic, which diagnoses conditions and prescribes remedies, saying that, quote, "All sorts of conditions of men, women, and children use the Institute. Sociologists, ministers of the gospel, and those who have put dogmatics behind them, all of these go to the Institute for information almost about everything under the sun. Ministers want to know how they best cooperate with one another for civic betterment. Many times, the Institute is asked to tell them how to attract and hold young men. College professors want literature for use in the preparation of lectures. Students get up their graduating essays. Writers of books and magazine articles want the last word upon whatever subject they are writing. End quote. Social engineering molds the minds of those it intends to influence, using one-directional indoctrinating information established by the desires of the social engineers themselves, along with their affiliated organizations and institutions. This skillful art of arrangements is used experimentally in both the ever-growing field of technology and/or person-to-person contact. And just as they were in the past, many of these experiments are documented under different auspices and cloaked in the clouds of secrecy, still to this very day. Some examples of social engineering experiments are things like Americans following signs to tell them what to do, while in other countries of other continents, those people do exactly what they want to do, without consenting to foreign direction or instruction. Another example will be children television shows, in which the fictional characters of these episodes would purposely display destructive behavior on television, even if it is classified as kid-friendly, all to manipulate the mindsets of the children watching these shows in real time. Another example would be the initial campaign to promote the use of cigarette smoking by way of persuasive commercials broadcasted over millions of television sets, at homes and places of business, and even newspaper ads inside various publications. Even CEOs are on television, influencing pregnant women to smoke cigarettes as a benefit.
Embryos don't have much choice. Fetuses don't. They don't like to smoke. The British Medical Research Council did a study of all of the 17,000 babies born in a single week in the United Kingdom, as you doubtless know. The council found that those babies born to mothers who smoked during pregnancy were in significantly higher proportion small, weighing under 5.5 pounds approximately, than the babies born to mothers who did not smoke, and there was a higher rate of stillbirths and of deaths within 28 days of birth. The question is, in view of this study, which is the largest and the most elaborate of its kind ever made, is it right to promote smoking among women with Virginia Slims and the other brands especially marketed for them with no warning as to the danger to the embryo that may exist?
Well, you're reading that question because it's a complicated question.
Yes,
I would say that I did read that report, and I concluded from that report that it's true. The babies born from women who smoke are smaller, but they're just as healthy as the babies born from women who do not smoke.
What about the higher rate
Some
of
women would
deaths?
prefer having smaller babies.
What about the higher rate of deaths?
I'm not familiar with that.
And almost everyone can recall the monkey see, monkey do method, where people gradually consent to being socially influenced or operated by the common theme of foreign control, no matter what the task may be. And this is still an ongoing issue as of now. So many examples that I have alluded to in my previous documentaries details just how deep this rabbit hole goes. And as you begin to research what I've researched, you will then know for sure that it's not based on some opinionated theories, commonly used by those with the intent to distract you from the truth. And so now we can determine the common pattern utilized inside of these social engineering experiments. And it all traces back to the art of illusory, and whoever the engineer can mold and modify into compulsory participation. But keep in mind that it can only work if persons decided to participate, meaning that there is a solution to this common problem, and we do not have to wait another however many more years you want to add on to fix it. Another example of these experiments is what you see people are doing commonly based on some form of risk of a pandemic that somehow managed to Optimus Prime itself and transform into an outbreak, while simultaneously other things are happening that people manage to forget, as if evidence of the effects of more added frequencies to the atmosphere somehow does not pose as a threat to electrical beings in any place of the world. And somehow people tend to forget how other examples of these experiments are things that you would not consider as being the study of. And this is where it gets a lot deeper. Now, some of you may consider what I'm about to share with you the introduction to something that you may have no idea about. Some may say they have seen it before, but haven't thought about it really. And some may altogether believe that it's just some viral phase that'll fade away in a matter of time. However, this type of technology has been around for quite some time now, to the point where it can be shocking to say the very least.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, "This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. Thank you. Stay woke, bitches. Stay woke, bitches. Stay woke, bitches."
Growing alarm over the use of altered videos online, especially those known as deep fakes, which are highly realistic looking and inaccurate. There are concerns about their growing sophistication and the risks they pose to national security. It is the focus of a hearing tomorrow in the House Intelligence Committee. Miles O'Brien has a look at how those videos, once the source of some fun, are being manipulated and how artificial intelligence scientists are trying to respond.
Scary as deepfake videos may be, there are times when they can be fun. A place where a 3D model of my face gets electronically plastered onto computer scientist Hao Li's head, making him the puppet master and me the dummy.
Really a scary looking individual overall. What do you think? I do need to change my hair, don't I? Yeah.
Li is an associate professor at the University of Southern California and co-founder of Pinscreen, an app that allows consumers to make instant custom 3D avatars for virtual reality gaming and shopping.
So now you created your avatar, right? So you have your
nice trim Miles O'Brien.
The real-time puppet master trick is how he refines the technology.
And here I am as our president. Yep. Shinzo Abe, Prime Minister of Japan. John, leader of China. Trudeau. It's not a bad look for me. Me as Justin Bieber. What do you think? I think I'm going to do this on the NewsHour all the time now. This will be good for my career, don't you think?
Li says he never saw it as anything more than entertainment.
Of course, it can be used for something really bad, but the main purpose was never for that. It was used for entertainment, a fun tool that could give us more things to do for fashion, lifestyle, etc.
Deepfake videos cleverly combine what's real with what is synthesized by a computer to make people appear to say things they never did or never would.
I like vodka.
The ever-increasing speed of computers, along with the advancement of the artificial intelligence technique called machine learning, is making these composites harder and harder to detect with the naked eye.
We all assume that there will be a point where there's no way to tell the difference. I mean, for visual effects, I think you can get pretty close already. It's just the question of how much effort you put into it. But in terms of content that can be created by anyone, I think it's getting very close to the point.
This was very, truly surprising for me.
One technique is the face swap, which puts Steve Buscemi's face on Jennifer Lawrence's body, Nicolas Cage onto a series of marquee stars in iconic roles.
Terrific.
Or Jimmy Kimmel's mug on mine.
So I've had to relearn very simple things.
But there is a deep dark side as well. Indeed, the technology has been used to paste the faces of celebrities onto the bodies of Computer scientist Hani Farid is a professor at Dartmouth College.
I am worried about the weaponization, and I'm worried about how it's impacting us as a society. So we are working as hard as possible to detect these things.
Killmonger was right.
This video crystallized much of the deep concern. What seems to be President Barack Obama making a speech.
You see, I would never say these things.
Is actually comedian and filmmaker Jordan Peele doing his excellent Obama impersonation synced with software created with artificial intelligence, or AI.
The AI system synthesized the mouth of President Obama to be consistent with the audio stream, and it made it look like President Obama was saying things that he never said. That's called a lip sync deepfake.
Just this week, the technique was used to put some pretty outrageous and comical words into the mouth of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg.
Spectre showed me that whoever controls the data controls the future.
It's a potent technology that is ripening at a time of deep polarization and suspicion fueled by social media.
So it's really sad. And here's the thing.
Just last month, something much less sophisticated than a deep fake, a doctored video of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi making her seem drunk, went viral.
We want to give this president the opportunity to do something historic.
Deep fakes ratchet up the risks.
The nightmare situation is that there's a video of President Trump saying, "I've launched nuclear weapons against North Korea," and somebody hacks his Twitter account, and that goes viral, and in 30 seconds we have global nuclear meltdown. Do I think it's likely? No. But it's not a zero probability, and that should scare the bejesus out of you, right? Because the fact that that is not impossible is really worrisome.
Computer scientists have pushed this technology using generative adversarial networks, or GANs. A GAN pits two artificial intelligence algorithms against each other. One strives to create realistic fake images, while the other grades the effort.
So the synthesis engine says, I'm going to create a fake image. I give it to this AI system that says, this looks fake to me. So it goes back and you change it, and you do that a few billion times in rapid succession. And the computers are teaching each other how to make better fakes. And that's what has democratized access.
And that's why the Pentagon is interested in deep fakes. Its research enterprise, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, is exploring ways to defend against the threat of deepfakes. Computer scientist Matt Turek runs DARPA's Media Forensics, or Metaphor, project.
So there's an opportunity here for us to essentially lose all trust in images and video.
Turek showed me some of the 70 counter deepfake techniques DARPA is helping nurture.
It's necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another.
This software is designed to characterize lip movement and compare it to the audio.
And so when we see these red bars, that means actually that the sounds of the speaker are not actually consistent with the movement of the lips.
Take a look at this video. Supposedly two people sitting together. But software that determines the lighting angle on faces concludes it is a composite.
So it estimates a 3D model for the face. Along with that 3D model, it estimates the reflectance properties of the face and also the lighting angles. And so here we're primarily using the lighting angles to see whether those are consistent or not.
In this example, video apparently gathered by a security camera shows only one car. This artificial intelligence algorithm is designed to predict how things should move.
What that's triggering off of is discontinuities in the motion, and so that gives us a signal to look at an image or video and say, well, perhaps frames were removed.
And it flags the video as altered. Another vehicle was edited out.
There's a cat and mouse game. The more aspects that you can use to debunk an image or video, the more burden that you put on the manipulator.
But none of these ideas will work without the cooperation of the big social media platforms, which would need to deploy the software and delete the fakes, something Facebook refused to do when the Pelosi video emerged.
The platforms have been, for the most part, very cavalier about how they deal with this type of illegal content, harmful content, misinformation, fake news, non-consensual. The list goes on, because it gets eyes on the platform, and that's good for business.
A fake video amplified in an echo chamber can go an awfully long way before the facts even enter the picture.
I'm just here to make you think.